So will the Edmonton Oilers be able to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals and maybe win a Stanley Cup this go around? Captain Paul from Locker Room. Appreciate if you drop a like, comment, and subscribe, but let's get right into it. When you have a superstar in Connor McDavid, the best player in the NHL, I mean, there's a lot of great things to like about your roster. Then you have Leon Draisaitl, a fantastic player, superstar in his own right, locked up to a long-term deal. And while there's going to be some contract concerns going forward with the Oilers, right now, this current iteration of the team, will they be able to get back to the finals and potentially win their first Stanley Cup since 1990? Well, let's get right into the roster. Looking at the Edmonton Oilers here, you have Nugent, Hopkins, Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman. Hyman has been fantastic with McDavid. Is he a 50-plus goal scorer without McDavid? Most likely not, but with McDavid dropping him dimes, he's definitely been the best version of himself. And Nugent Hopkins is a very effective wing/center that can kind of go up and down the lineup. He's a great Swiss Army knife to have in your lineup. And then you have Leon Draisaitl, again, a superstar in his own right. I do like the additions of Skinner and Arvidsson. Skinner, while he's kind of not really justified that big contract he got, gets a fresh start with the Edmonton Oilers. He's going to be playing with some extremely talented players, whether it's McDavid or Draisaitl. If this is the line, Draisaitl with Skinner, you could see Skinner potentially score 30-plus goals and look like prime Skinner. Skinner can bury the puck. He has good goal-scoring touch, and it gives the Oilers much-needed secondary scoring. The Oilers, they had a fantastic run last year, but you kind of wish they just had another piece or two, so I like the addition of Skinner. And then you also bring in Arvidsson, where he didn't play a lot of games last season due to being out for most of it, but when you look at his career, he's around a 50, 60-plus point guy. He was, about a point per game last year. Yeah, I think this guy, again, with either McDavid or Draisaitl, you're going to potentially see a career year from him, and it just kind of lengthens the lineup. If I'm going to be honest with you, in my opinion, just kind of looking at this lineup, I think they're deeper than last year. Then you go down to the third line, you got Henrique, Brown, Janmark. I think that's great. That's Henrique. He can be a guy that goes up and down, but having him as a third line guy, it just goes in really well. And then you have that fourth line of Podolsky, Ryan, and Perry, which can be extremely effective. Perry, at this point in his career, is he what he was in his prime? No, but he's a guy you like to have in your bottom six. The big X factor for me is going to be Evander Kane. Now, he ended up getting a hip procedure. He will be out for the 2024 calendar year. Looks like he's going to be speculated to be back around February of 2025, so he'll be kind of a late season addition. So you're hoping if he comes back in February, he's able to kind of get in game shape and get ready for the playoffs with the Oilers. They should be in that situation. They're going to miss Evander Kane, but if Evander Kane comes back and is just a solid middle six guy, a deeper lineup with the Oilers just gets even deeper. It might be kind of a blessing in disguise for Kane to get that procedure and just get right. And then you go to the defense. You got Ekholm and Bouchard, a great tandem. Evan Bouchard has just heavily impressed me with how well he has developed. He is just such a young, promising defenseman. He's really he was so much fun to watch during the playoffs last year. Then you have Darnell Nurse, Everson, who they got from the San Jose Sharks. The scouting report on Everson is that he's kind of more of a traditional stay-home defenseman, but in 30 games played last year, I think he got like 10 points, so he'll give you a little bit of point production from the point. 24-year-old young defenseman, you're hoping that he can kind of, hit. Darnell Nurse, is he a $9.25 million guy? No, but you're hoping he's efficient enough in that top four pairing. When he's on his game, he's blocking shots, being physical, but the downside of Nurse is when he's not playing well, it can be difficult to watch. And then you got Kulak and Stetcher. Overall, I think the defense here with the Oilers is fine. I'm not super high on Nurse, but I think in a top four situation, if Everson can play well, or whether they kind of rotate Stetcher or another defenseman into that rotation, I think the Oilers defensively, they have really good top pairing and then just kind of average throughout the rest of it. And then when you get into the goaltending, will Stuart Skinner take the next jump in his development? That's going to be the big question mark going forward. Skinner had some great moments during the playoffs, some fantastic saves, really did. But then he had those other moments where it was just kind of like, ooh, you let that in. Ooh, you let that rough goal in. If Stuart Skinner can just be more consistent, the Oilers are going to be in a great spot. Calvin Pickard comes back into the fold in a backup role. Kind of was a journeyman for a while. Kind of found a nice niche as a backup for the Oilers last season. Hopefully he's able to do well for them. I like Calvin Pickard. I actually been kind of a fan of him since the Colorado Avalanche, and I really want him to succeed. So I'm hoping he does well. But the big main fixture here is Stuart Skinner. He's got to take that next jump. He's got to be more consistent. He has the capability to do so. He's got to make his game repeatable. So what do I think of the Edmonton Oilers and their potential this season? Well, I like the additions they have made. I think Arvidsson, very good player. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be a great boost to the secondary scoring up front. Then you also bring in another guy like Jeff Skinner. Well, again, the contract was Albatrass for the Sabres, and I understand that. But with Draisaitl or with McDavid, I wouldn't be shocked to have him score 30 or maybe even 40 goals. I mean, Zach Hyman has become a 50-goal scorer with Connor McDavid, and I think if he's in a different situation, he's probably more around the middle 20s, maybe the lower 30s at most. So I think, yeah, I like the additions. I think there's some good potential here, and while you're going to miss a guy like Evander Kane, him missing some time and getting right is a good thing. And then on the defense, I mean, Evan Bouchard is it's just so much fun to watch. I could see him having another fantastic year. He's a young, promising defenseman, and with him and Ekholm, yeah, you have a very good top pairing. And while I'm not the biggest fan of probably Darnell Nurse, I think they have a solid enough decor, and if Skinner can just be more consistent, I could see them making another deep run. I mean, when you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, it's hard for me to kind of bet against you. And it's kind of what happened with the Panthers the year before when they lost the finals. If they take that journey to the finals experience and they learn from it and they grow from it and they understand what it takes, I think for the long run it could just more benefit the Oilers. And when you have superstars like McDavid and Draisaitl that are just going to be even hungrier after that type of journey and not being able to kind of attain the final milestone, attain that Stanley Cup championship, they're going to be hungry to get right back there. So I wouldn't be shocked if they made another deep run. I like the additions, and I think the Edmonton Oilers, man, they're in a good situation for this season. Where it will be interesting is going forward. Is Connor McDavid going to be the first guy to make $20 million per year at the NHL level? That will be interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you think about the Edmonton Oilers? What do you think about their additions? Do you think they're going to be back in the Stanley Cup Finals? Do you think they'll make a deep run? Or will they struggle this season? I'm Captain Paul. I'll see you in the next one.